So I've been asked what really drives me in the way that I approach wealth management. And as I think about it, I think it came down to one particular day in my practice. I was having a day probably like any other day. I was meeting with clients, having investment meetings, and I got that phone call that you hope you never get. I received the phone call that my father had just been killed. And that day changed my life. As I went to Salt Lake to begin to deal with the family affairs, a lot of thoughts were rushing through my mind. We took care of the funeral arrangements, but even during the funeral arrangements and soon thereafter, we realized that there was some issues that we had to deal with. My father had some great professionals that worked for him. He had great tax advisors, attorneys, property and casualty people, wealth managers. And what I soon found out or realized was that they had never really talked to each other. And because of that lack of communication between them, there were some big gaps that existed. The end result was we spent about a year in court, and the family was broken over the issue. That year was probably the hardest year of my life. And as I got towards the end of it and things began to take shape, I turned to my business partner, Rob, and I said, I don't ever want any of my clients to have to go through what I just went through. And so we began to pull back and reassess the way that we approach wealth management. I pulled from my experiences and my client experiences that we'd been through. Rob pulled from his. And we began to develop a completely different approach to wealth management.